several levels of problems with this today. It is what we started with yesterday on the synthetic division. We're going to end up using synthetic division to find solutions, to find zeros. We did this type of problem yesterday. I got f of x is equal to x cubed minus 7x squared plus 13x minus 15. I'm asking you yes or no over there with a question mark. Is x minus 5 a factor of that? Okay. If it's a factor of that, how will I know? What did we do in the synthetic?
Zero.
Very good. The remainder will be 0. So we're going to set that up like we did yesterday in our synthetic division of 1x cubed and negative 7x squared or 13x and a negative 15. What's going to go outside my box? Positive 5. Very good, because that's in a factor form. So we would set x minus 5 equal to 0 and solve it and get a positive 5. Okay, we did this all yesterday. Drop your 1, multiply. 1 times 5 is 5. I add. Negative 7 and 5 is negative 2. I multiply. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. I add. 13 and negative 10 is 3. Multiply. 3 times 5 is 15. Add and get 0. So was x minus 5 a factor? Yes, because like Chase said, we got a 0 in the remainder spot. Okay? Quick little warm up on that. Everybody good there? Easy schmeezy. Alright. Here I've got f of x is equal to 8x cubed. Some of these are going to get lengthy today. Plus 70x squared plus 83x minus 105. Alright, so that says negative 7 over there on the side. Let me read to you what all we got and so you know what's going on. It says to ask us to factor this function given that negative 7 is a 0. Okay, so we got to be able to factor this. Remember when we factored stuff, you had it in binomials in parentheses? Did we ever factor could we factor something that's a third power like this?
Yes.
On special occasions, Zane is correct. If they had a GCF, we could factor it, and if they were a sum or difference of cubes, we could factor it. This has neither. So for me to be able to write this in my parentheses like that, remember that's what our stuff looks like when we factor, I need it to be a squared. Okay? So what we're going to start with here, they're being nice to us and telling us that negative 7 will get me a 0. So I can take what started off as a cubed, use that negative 7, and get it down to a squared, so that then I can factor it. Okay? So set your synthetic division up. 8x cubed, 70x squared, 83x, negative 105. Well, I put a negative 7 or a 7 out here. Negative, good. Were you trying to ask me something, Grace? Well, one of y'all answer the door.
It's open.
Well, so, go ahead, Grace. I'm listening to you.
Since we already know that this is, okay. I think
okay. All right, so I dropped my 8. 8 times negative 7 is negative 56. Add, that gets me a 14. I might need some help on my mental math here. Multiply, I think that's negative 98.
Mm-hmm.
So when I add that, that's negative 15. And multiply negative 7 times negative 15. Since they're telling me it is a 0, I expect that to be a 105. Alright, so remember our directions said to factor. We couldn't because this was a cubed. We just divided by x though, Caitlin, so now this is squared. So we've got 8x squared plus 14x minus 15. Now this is not my most favorite kind of factoring because my a is not 1. My a was 1, I could just take my factors of the last term and put them in the parentheses and be done with it. But since my a is something different, I got to do factoring by grouping, and it takes a little bit longer. You still start the same way. A times c. What's 8 times negative 15? Negative 120. So I need the factors of negative 120 that add to 14. Okay, first period didn't have any guesses, so we just started listing them. Any of y'all got any guesses? Alright, I'm not going to worry about negatives right now. I'm just going to start listing factors of 120. Okay, I was on 5. Grace got to 6 and 20, and that is going to be the winning pair. I need one of them to be a negative to get this, and I need the bigger one to be a positive to get a positive 14. So it's going to be -6 and positive 20. Okay, so now you're going to take those, and you're going to substitute them in for that. So I got 8x squared minus 6x plus 20x minus 15. Because I didn't change the value of that equation because -6 and 20 is -14. So remember I told you this was factoring by grouping. We're grouping them just like we go in the arc now, 2 by 2. What's the GCF of this first group? 2x. So we take 2x out. Good job. Leaves me, divide both these by 2x. Leaves me with 4x minus 3. What's the GCF of that second group?
5.
Divide both by 5. Leaves me with 4x minus 3. So to write your factors out of that, what you had twice. Remember doing this in Algebra 2? What you took out. Now there are 2 of the factors for that original function. Where's the third one? How do I get my third one? Because it started off as a third power. If I had -7 as a 0, what would the factor be that got me that?
X plus 7.
X plus 7. Very good. So we got these 2 and x plus 7.
Wait, Dawson, please come to the high school office to check out.
What's a lot?
Yeah, that's one of the shorter ones. Fun day today. Alright, on that problem, I gave you the -7 in the beginning. So that was friendly. Fixing to look at one now where you're not given anything. It's when your life is like a box of chocolates. That's my old buddy Forrest would say. Good. Alright, I got f of x is equal to 6x to the 4th minus 7x cubed minus 18x squared plus 13x plus 6. Your directions here say to find all the rational zeros. And they didn't give me anything to start with. The last problem I gave you a -7, so you had a starting spot. So when we're given nothing, this is when, and we did this in Algebra 2, this is when we have to use some guess and check stuff.
So you just guess a number? And then
We're going to have yes and no. Grace is on the right road. Yes, we are going to just guess a number, but we're going to have a pool of numbers to pick from, and that's what I got to teach you on where to get that pool of numbers, because if not, it'd be any number in infinity. You know, that could go on forever, but luckily we got a system to make us a small pool of numbers. You take the factors of your constant, and put that over the factors of your leading coefficient. LC, leading coefficient. So in this case it's the same, so if we figure out the factors of one of them, we got them both, right?
it's a factor of what?
Our constant, which is the one without a letter, over the factors of our leading coefficient, the one with the highest power. So, factors of 6. I could be 1, 2, 3, and 6, right? Those are all the whole numbers I can multiply to make a 6, right? 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. Same thing, my leading coefficient, just a coincidence this time, it is also 6. Won't always be. Now, also have to throw into effect here, those could all be positives or negatives. So that makes your pool a little bit bigger. Now what you got to see here is I'm fixing to put every one of these numerators over every one of these denominators. So I got to go 1 over 1, 1 over 2, 1 over 3, 1 over 6. 2 over 1, 2 over 2, 2. I got to do that for all of them. Okay, and they can all be plus, positive, or negative. So to start listing all those options out, positive or negative. 1 over 1, 1 over 2, 1 over 3, 1 over 6. And I'm done with the 1 on top. I put it over all the ones on bottom. I got to figure out all the combinations that these make. So I got to put each one of these over each one of these.
And do you divide?
No, I'm just going to leave them as a fraction. 1 over 1, whoops, 1 over 2, 1 over 3, 1 over 6. Now I got to go pick the 2 up and do it. Yep. So now Grace is on to the 2. So 2 over 1. Now check this out. Some of them you're not going to have to write again, because next would be 2 over 2, but you've already got it, right? Okay, then 2 over 3. 2 over 6. I've already got it. So we're done with the 2 on top. Okay, moving to the 3. 3 over 1. 3 over 2. Already got 3 over 3. Already got 3 over 6. Right? Moving to the 6. 6 over 1. And I've already got all the rest of them. 6 over 2. 6 over 3. 6 over 6. So, if I got a positive or negative for each of these, that could be positive, negative 1, positive, negative 1 half. So it's 1, 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So we got 18 numbers in our hat that we got to just guess from. Which at least it's only 18 instead of the infinite amount of numbers, right? She's not excited. Okay, now hang on to I'm going to scroll it up so we can keep up. That's why I'm not writing on that thing today, because these problems take so much space up and I can't control that. In a minute, when I ask you to pick a number, to guess a number, see if you're feeling lucky, don't say 7. It's not on our list. Okay? People do that. They'll be like, why don't we try 12? Because it's on the list, stupid. Don't do that. If it works for this, it has to be in this list. You understand that? That's what this list is about. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to set my stuff up, and then I'll scroll it up so we can all see it, and we'll just start trial and error and see what happens. What will we be looking for? How will we know if we picked a good one?
A 0.
Very good, Mason. Have a 0 in that remainder. Hot dog. 6x to the 4th, negative 7x cubed, negative 18x squared, 13x, and 6. Still be able to see the numbers there. Alright, now, I'm not trying to influence you in any way. I want y'all to think and try stuff on your own. When I have to do these kinds of problems, I always do whole numbers first. That's my personal preference. If you want to start with some negative fractions first, you can. I just try to find whole numbers first because they're easier. 2. Okay, Grace wants to try 2. And look, it is in our list. Alright, 6 times 2 is 12. Negative 7 plus 12 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. Negative 18 plus 10 is negative 8. Negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. 13 and negative 16 is negative 3. Grace may be a lucky number picker. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. 6 and negative 6 is 0.
I'm awesome.
Woo! First period we picked 3 before we found one that worked. So, way to go, Grace. Grace has got 1. Now, again, I'm not trying to influence you, but here's my thought process on what's fixing to happen. This thing started off as a 4th power. If I can ever get it down to a 2nd power, I can factor to do the quadratic formula, so I can quit guessing and checking. But right now, it started off as a 4th. I'm only to a 3rd. So I got to guess and check at least one more level. Okay, but the good news is you can use these numbers because now you got less of them. Okay, I would not pick 2 again to start with. Sometimes it can work again, but I would pick something else now. So, negative 3. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. 5 and negative 18 is negative 13. Negative 13 times negative 3 is 39. 39 and negative 8 is 31. That's not going to get me as 3 over there, is it? Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to make sure that I know that one didn't work, so I don't try it again. And here's where I have an advantage over y'all. I got fancy magic paper. You either got to erase on your paper or mark it out and start over. All right, what we feel like trying now? They think they got a good one?
1/3.
Okay.
Negative
1/3 or negative 1/3?
1/3.
1/3. 6 times 1/3 is 2. 5 plus 2 is 7. I'm going to need help on this. 7 times 1/3 is 7/3. Not 8's dumb butt. 7/3. What's negative 8 plus 7/3? You're not turned on there.
What does that say?
Negative 5
plus
and 2/3.
7/3. Negative 5 and 2/3
Alright, that's not going to work.
times 1/3. It'll be a negative.
Negative 1.8888.
Okay.
No, that's not going to work.
So 1/3 didn't work. Okay. You are catching up with first period now on the ones we've tried that didn't work. You still got your numbers there to look at, to pick from?
So if we use the negative 3, we can still use the positive.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
3.
okay. Mason wants to try 3. 6 times 3 is 18. After 20, 22, 23. 69. 61. Not 3. So, y'all are as lucky as me. This is how my life goes. I can't ever. Grace started us off good. Okay. Going back to Grace, she's saying a half. Half of 6 is 3. 5 and 3 is 8. Half of 8 is 4. Negative 8 and 4 is negative 4. It's not 3.
Negative 1.
Negative 1, Kaylee suggests. Come on, negative 1. I feel like I should be in Vegas. Come on, negative 1. I've never been to Vegas. 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. I add and get negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 1 is 1. I add and get negative 7. That doesn't give me a 3. Oh.
Have we already taken this one?
Say that again. I just didn't hear you. I didn't mean you were wrong.
Yeah, no.
Okay. No, you've had me enough. You know I can't hear half the time. Let's go back. Say what?
We did 2/3 yet.
Have we done what yet?
2/3.
2/3.
I'm not.
Is it possible that 2 is the only answer?
It's not though.
Okay. But some of them might be
It
like
could be.
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It could be. 6 times 2/3, 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's 9 times 2/3 is 6. Negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2. That's negative 4/3.
Negative 2.
Okay, hold on. I heard 2 things.
You get to pick now. Negative 2 or negative.
Let's. Did we not try either one of those?
I don't know about that. I know we haven't tried negative 2. No, it doesn't look like someone.
Mason, negative 2 or negative 6?
Negative 6.
Zane doesn't think so. I really don't think it's either one of them. I don't remember. 6 minus 6, negative 36. That's negative 31.
Starting off pretty high.
That's 186.
Yeah.
No.
That is 174. That's not 3. So negative 6 is out.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's try negative 2.
Yeah, we should let Grace pick. She's
I
good
did.
at it.
She had a negative 6.
Oh.
So Grace and
Sorry,
Kaylee
Grace.
both said something at the same time, so Mason tie breaks. Well, let's go with what Kaylee said, and then we'll get Dustin's.
Negative 2.
Negative 2.
Dusty's probably right.
6 times negative 2 is negative 12. I add and get negative 7. I'm liking this one. Negative 7 times negative 2 is 14.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm not.
Mm-mm.
I add and get 12. No, 8. 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. Oh, man.
You guess it.
It was wrong, but you still wrote it wrong. You did negative 7 times negative 2 is 16.
Negative 7 times negative 2 is 14.
Yeah, it's still
So that would give me a 6.
It's still not right,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
It'd be
Let's
4.
just do 1.
But it's, yeah, but it still wouldn't work. Uh-huh. Well, let me, Dustin's got one we hadn't tried yet, though. Let me see what he said. Yeah, I did mess up on my math on that one, but it didn't work if I did my math correct. All right, Dustin, what did you think?
3 halves.
3 halves. That is 9. 9 and 5 is 14. That is 21. Is that 13?
yeah.
And that's not 3. So 3 halves is out. Holy Toledo. This might be a record. Y'all are worse number pickers than me. That's pretty bad.
Negative 1/2.
Oh, me. Alright, we're going to go. Mason said 1 first. Zane, well, if it doesn't work, then we'll do the negative half.
Can we just look at the answer book?
6, that's 11. Hey, Mason. 9, 10, what is that? No. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so shocked. That's why I'm like, are we sure?
Mason.
Attaboy, Mason. Alright, so 1 works.
Yeah.
Okay, now, you got, I mean, we had 18 numbers in our pool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It took us 12 to find those 18. So there's still 6 left. So I could go here, trial and error with those 6. I'm out. We started off with a 4th, so that made a 3rd, a cube. You're to a quadratic now. I'm not doing guess and check anymore. I'm getting some for sure stuff, either factoring or quadratic formula. I do not like to factor doing that grouping stuff when my A is not 1. So I'm just jumping to the quadratic formula. X equals negative B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4AC over 2A. Negative B plus or minus the square root. B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. 4 times 6 is 24 times 3 is 72. 121 minus 72, 49. Check my mental math, see if y'all get a 49 under the radical. I believe that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so square root of 49 is 7. So we got to do negative 11 plus 7 and divided by 12. And negative 11 minus 7 and divided by 12. So 8, 9, 10, 11. Negative 4 divided by 12 is negative 1/3. Anybody think about picking negative 1/3 and you just didn't speak up? Negative 11 minus 7 is negative 18. Divided by 12 is negative 3 halves. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got negative 1/3, negative 3 halves. Then earlier we had a 2 and a 1. So there are our 4 zeros. Now, wasn't that fun? That's what this question asked for. It asked for the 4 zeros. What if it said, what are the factors? Not too much harder. You would just have to write these in factored form. Your 2 would come from x minus 2. Your 1 would come from x minus 1. I just chose whole numbers first. X plus 1/3. X plus 3 halves. If it asked for factors. Okay, but we were good, bam, on the zeros.
That literally
Should
took
have said
up
1
2
earlier.
pages.
That's what I said when I said never mind.
Oh, Mason. That Mason character. I don't know about that. Alright, I'm going to jump over to what I consider to be in my opinion, the hardest of the group. And then we'll call that a wrap after we look at this. Because that one I gave you a function and we had to come up with zeros. Now I'm going to give you a couple of zeros, and we got to be able to come up with a function. So we're going to go backwards. Okay? I don't know. I don't mean like that. All right. I got a 3. Oops. A 3 and a 2 plus I. Not only am I going backwards, I'm throwing imaginary numbers at you. You better watch out. Imaginary numbers smack you upside the head any minute now. Woo! 3 and 2 plus I. All right, first off, this is a trick. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me read the directions to the problem. Find a polynomial function of least possible degree having only real coefficients and zeros of 3 and 2 plus I. There is a hidden zero that I haven't written yet that the book did not give me. Where do you get an I from when you get I from an answer? Why do you get I? What happened to make you have an I? Negative under the radical, more specifically an even-rooted radical, like square root, a fourth root, a sixth root, right? So I got a negative that's being square rooted. And remember, when you take the square root, you can be positive or negative. Plus minus goes, remember, x equals negative e plus or minus the square root plus minus, right? So if I've got a 2 plus I, hidden was not given, I also have a 2 minus I. And you have to write that down. Okay? So now you're going to start this thing off. Those are the zeros. So you're going to go backwards and write those as factors. So 3 would be x minus 3. Now, same thing on these ugly i's. It's going to work the same. I'm going to have x minus 2 plus I for that one. And then I'm going to have x minus 2 minus I for that one. Now notice I put those little I sections in parentheses because I'm supposed to subtract those whole pieces. So I got to simplify that a step more. X minus 2 minus I, if I'm subtracting both of those, right? X minus 2, and then minus a negative is a plus I. Bring down your x minus 3. Alright, first period got excited and they said, you said this was hard. All we got to do now is FOIL. Wrong. There's no foiling there. You only have one binomial. FOIL is a binomial times a binomial, not a trinomial times a trinomial. So you just got a whole truckload of distributive that's fixing to happen. My personal preference is to get rid of do the bigger ones first, get the hard stuff out of the way. So I'm going to take this x, distribute it to all three of these. I'm going to take the negative 2, distribute it to all three, negative I, distribute it to all three, combine like terms. Then I have to take this x, distribute it to my answer, and this negative 3 and distribute it to my answer. Okay? Buckle up, buttercup, here we go. X times x. X times negative 2. X times I. I don't know what the heck an x times an I is. Just write it down. Okay? Now I'm ready to go to the negative 2. Negative 2 times x. I'm going to match up like terms if I can. Yeah, I did draw that to the wrong one. That'll screw me up. Thank you, Mason. Negative 2 times x. Now I'm to that negative 2 times negative 2. I don't have a like term for it yet, so I just stick it on the end. And then negative 2 times I. Okay? Now I'm ready for that last piece, that negative I. So here I got a negative I times x. It had a like term. Negative I times negative 2. It had a like term. And negative I times I. Alright, so it looks like just random pieces floating in space there, but those are columned with like terms. Okay, so x squared didn't have anything else. Negative 2x and negative 2x. Here's that stupid ix. It canceled itself out, didn't it?
Wait, I have a question.
Okay.
On the negative I squared.
Yeah, you're ahead of me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Y'all are ahead of me. Good job.
That's going to cancel itself out.
It's going to make it be a plus 1. That's what Aaron's saying.
Because, well, negative, is it,
I
I squared is
negative 1.
Negative 1.
So you got minus a negative 1.
okay.
That
I
minus
thought
negative.
there was a thing that's negative I equals something, but maybe not.
I don't remember off the top of my head. Alright, so then I'm to the 4, plus 4. These dudes canceled, negative 2i and 2i. Now to what Aaron and Grace were talking about. I squared is the same as negative 1. But we got minus a negative 1. which means plus 1, which means that piece is 5. So here we had those two big trinomials that had ugly eyes in them, and it ends up being something normal. But, are we done? No. Look what we hadn't messed with yet. Oh, no. Now I've got to distribute the x minus 3 to that. Ready? X cubed minus 4x squared plus 5x. Done with the x. Hitting the negative 3 now. I'm going to match up like terms. Negative 3x squared plus 12x minus 15. Alright, so we're writing a function, so I'll throw some good notation now. X cubed, negative 4x squared minus 3x squared is negative 7x squared. 5x and 12x minus 15. Holy Toledo.
That's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take me like 4 days to do the test.
We will be testing next week. That would be such a nightmare.
Yeah.
Did you say the test was Thursday?
I didn't say. I said sometime before spring break.
We just,
Not next week, but the next
What day do we get out next week?
Friday. You gotta go all week.
Why do some schools get
Look,
out early? I know. Yeah. Like, no, we go next
We
week.
had to come
and
next
then
week,
get-
and then spring break is the following week.
I know the box I gets out Wednesday.
Yeah, Brian
So
gets
I'm-
out Thursday. Or
Okay, move.
No,
You know,
I was just asking.
I don't know why schools make calendars. I don't know. Why did we get out extra days the last couple of weeks when they didn't? That's how it evens out.
Oh, you looked at me like I was.
Oh, Grace, I'm gonna just squeeze you. Just kidding. Now, good news. Sometimes, when you don't have a clue about how to start on tests and assignments in here, it's multiple choice, so you can always go backwards to that. So what you would have to do, like, it would be 4 things that look like this as a choice. So you would have to start with 3 and do synthetic division and see if 3 got you a 0 in any of the choices. If only one of them did, that'd be 2 thumbs up. But with my luck, 3 of them, it would work. And then I'd be like, what the heck do I do now? You know, so it just depends
make sure
on,
that there's none of those.
yeah, just depends on that. All right, so what we got tomorrow, we are having an assignment tomorrow.
Really?
That's what I said. And then finish the unit up next week, test sometime. I'm not sure when. Sometime, probably the end of the week. Probably. Everybody good? Alrighty, that was fun stuff today. Good times, great oldies, Cool 95. Used to be in the olden days, it was an oldies station. Good times, great oldies, Cool 95. I think graphs might be all we got left out of this. Looking at these things on the graph, which you should do that in your calculator. Graphs. Yep, 2 units of graphs is all that's left.